Hi stock investors, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, Nvidia earnings are out and the stock went down. Let's have a look and then I'll react to some of the clips about earnings. This is a reaction channel after all. We can see here that the stock's down 6.89% after hours, after being just over 2% down during the day. So what happened? Were expectations just too high for Nvidia? It's a possibility. Look at this slide here for Nvidia. We can see that it did not do too badly at all. If we can look at the data center, gaming, professional visualization, auto, and DEM and other, we can see that the numbers are all up. They weren't down. The numbers look good there on the face of it. So what went wrong? Let's catch up with the news and see what happened, see what they're saying, and I'll react to it along the way. We'll try and get a sense of why it did not meet the market expectations this time around. They've been climbing up quarter by quarter, it has to be said, so let's see.
What does it look like?
John, second quarter earnings are in for Nvidia, 68 cents adjusted versus the estimate of 64 cents, so a beat on its bottom line. Revenue at $30.04 billion, also higher than Wall Street consensus of $28.7 billion. We have comments here from CEO Jensen Huang in the press release. Hopper demand remains strong and the anticipation for Blackwell is incredible. He says Nvidia achieved record revenues as global data centers are in full throttle to modernize the entire computing stack. He goes on to say that Blackwell samples are shipping to our partners and customers. Spectrum X, Ethernet for AI, and NVIDIA AI enterprise software are two new product categories achieving significant scale.
Okay, so it has to be said that the CEO, Jensen, he's a very good salesman and there's marketing involved in this. So we need to dig deeper and see what's going on. One thing that I noticed were margins were slipping a bit. The market would not like that. And they talked about Blackwell there, how there was a delay. The market, we knew kind of that was going to happen. And he did say that it was going fine in that marketing statement, but people were looking for the earnings call and some of the comments there the market didn't like. They are also doing a buyback of $50 billion or authorized buyback. I would say though that, you know, would they do that with the share price going up so much? What's that about? If you were Warren Buffett, you would only buy back if when the share price was low, when there was might be a temporary problem or the market didn't like it. Are they waiting that? Are they expecting that, or is it just to pump the share price in terms of, oh, we think the share price is low and we'll buy back anyway? Let's get more into it.
Another data point here, Nvidia announcing a $50 billion repurchase of shares. We are watching the stock here move fractionally higher in overtime. John, we'll get you the guidance in just a second.
All right, we'll await that guide. Looks like it's a little bit above expectations. Nicole, what do you do with it here if you feel like you missed the big move?
The earnings beats are narrowing. I think that's exactly what I was watching over your shoulder as the market was trying to digest in the moment.
The earnings beats are narrowing, and as I said, the market expectations have been so high for Nvidia. How can a company beat expectations? I'm not talking about earnings expectations, the market expectations. There's a lot of eyes on that, a lot of investors, including retail investors on this, expecting this to go higher and higher, to beat expectations, to keep going.
When the earnings beats are narrowing, the street is less impressed on where we're headed next. And so I think until there's more clarity around movement outside of the hyperscalers, obviously adoption from finance, from healthcare, from the consumers, like we started to hear from Walmart. That's the next leg. And so I think the more we learn about Blackwell, what the stack's going to do, the demand for the stack, and these higher, even higher margin products, right? This next gen, next wave.
Even higher margins. So that margins are so high with this company. Can they only go down? They have slipped a little bit in the end. As she said, Wall Street wouldn't have liked that. I mean, they did beat expectations slightly, but there were things there. When will it end? This has been a cyclical industry. Will there be a time when it just doesn't beat expectations? So some of the customer stop buying because the AI build out is just slowed down just a fraction. Will that be something to send the share price down to dampen expectations?
That's what moves us higher. And so I wouldn't say this isn't an entry point because we believe that we are long Nvidia for 18 plus months here.
Along
18 plus months more, she thinks.
those lines, Paul, the fact that you had revenue up 152% year over year, but perhaps more significantly, revenue up 122% year over year, which represents another quarter of more than doubling. I mean, it tripled in the last quarter. So it does represent a deceleration in that rate of growth. And I wonder how much that is factoring into the stock as you see these rapid moves on your screen right now. But we're currently.
I think that's a factor. I think she's hit the nail on the head there that, just even slightly down from expectations is because the price has gone up. We have to remember it's gone up around 1,000% since October 2022. It's had a rapid rise there. If we look at that, I mean, it's been an incredible rise there since that time there, about there. Look at that, over 1,000% in less than 2 years. We just can't forget that sort of action.
Currently down 4%.
Yeah, so I mean, I think, we talked about, earlier before it released, they were going to have to exceed 30 billion just to, keep the market somewhat level here. But to your point, they've been increasing revenues so high. Revenues have more than quadrupled over the last 3 years. That's not going to happen again over the next 3 years. You'd have to have revenues of over 500 billion a year in order to keep that pace going. So the pace is going to slow. And so we always hear about, it's trading at a cheaper valuation now than it was a year ago. But the growth was so much stronger over the last year. That pace of growth is going to slow. I'm not saying that Nvidia is a stock that you don't want to own, but you have to reset your expectations here. What we've seen in the growth is going to slow down going forward. And, I think there's other places where investors can look in the market outside of just these Mag 7 type stocks. And you want to look for a broadening of the rally to areas that, we're not talking about every day, that 75 analysts aren't covering, and that the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg.
Okay, we get it. So he's saying it's going to broaden out, not necessarily go down looking for other stocks in the market. I mean, I'd agree with that. I'm not looking at Nvidia at the moment. It's not investment advice, so you've got to do your own work, not investment advice at all. But if you're getting value out of this episode so far, do remember to smash that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people, and subscribe. Relatively new channel here. If you want to get more of this kind of content, we're going to see another discussion, an interesting discussion now as well that gets more into the depth of it. Is it that it's not meeting expectations? Well, he said it has to be reset. The expectations have to be reset, and it wouldn't take much because the expectations, as I keep saying, have been so high. Although some people don't think so, that this can keep on going and doubling and doubling and doubling their revenue because the AI build out is so big. It's going to be so big.
I think they did really good as per our expectations. I'm sure the Nvidia obsesses and might be disappointed given the magnitude of the beat, which we had called out to be in the single-digit range, and especially against the lofty, unsustainable expectations that some of the, again, Nvidia obsesses have been forming. But fundamentally, in terms of long-term, in terms of the competitive landscape, everything remains intact. We don't see any big risks out of this earnings so far.
Nobody disputes that. That's a great company with great earnings, incredible margins. Everything's going well. It's but is it priced to perfection? That's the question.
Do you see any softness when it comes to the outlook? Even though it exceeded some expectations, it didn't exceed the loftiest expectations. Are you seeing signs of softness with its customers?
I wouldn't call it a softness in terms of demand. I would rather call it more of a timing. I mean, in the given last 30 days, we have come to know about the Blackwell delays, right? But as we had called out in our preview, there's enough demand for the Hopper series, and the supply for that has come along. So they have the ability.
So there was a delay there, and it was flagged before earnings, so that should have dampened expectations a little bit. I guess it did. And the CEO, Jensen, he was talking about that as sort of giving a marketing speak, but I think between the lines, there definitely is going to be a delay. He talked about billions. They're still going to make billions going forward without any specifics there. Of course, they're going to make billions. They do make billions on everything. It's such a big scale. So they're very indeterminate there.
To ship more and more to this demand, which kept them intact, and the guidance still came to a beat. Of course, I think, the delay might actually push out the magnitude of beat which we would have expected into calendar 25, which might actually drive increase to the upside of 25 numbers as we get more details on it.
Help contextualize this for us. Nvidia expects to ship several $billion of Blackwell revenue in the fourth quarter of the year. I feel like, Carol, I'm parsing a Fed statement here.
It feels kind of vague.
What is several?
It is vague. It's very vague. Several billions.
Mean, Kunjan, is that a lot or is that disappointing to investors?
I wouldn't call it completely disappointing. Again, given what we came to know over the last 4 weeks, when we were...
You have to say that he's got a vested interest in being positive about it here, not completely objective.
Working on the preview 2 weeks ago, we thought it will be very little volume. So this several billion actually is good in a way and comforting that, okay, there will be some shipment and it's not completely delayed until the first Q fiscal quarter. So I wouldn't call it completely disappointing.
So we are watching big tech falling after Nvidia, their results. As I mentioned, the NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures in the aftermarket down 1.6%. It's, you know, I'm looking at the QQQ. That also we see it down.
Yep, the other tech stocks, well, the big tech's falling. Is that going to continue? There was fear that this could break the market if the earnings didn't go so well, as we've seen Nvidia down. Will it rebound tomorrow? Will it keep going? Will the market just get over this, reset expectations, but keep it going up? That remains to be seen. What do you think is going to happen? Are you an investor in Nvidia? Do you have it in your portfolio? And speaking of portfolios, I have a special offer for my viewers here from ShareSite, which is a portfolio tracking and reporting tool, which I use myself along with 400,000 investors that trust it worldwide. You can bring your trades into there, and historical trades as well. You can bring the new trades automatically in and get historical trades from your brokers to see the true performance of your portfolio. Do you know the true performance of your portfolio, including dividends and everything? It does work it out. And if you go to this landing page, you can see a video about it and much more information there. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check that out. And I do recommend that you do that. On screen now, I'm going to put a link to a video that YouTube thinks that you should watch now. So go and see that now if you want to. And do subscribe to the channel to keep up with more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.